Welcome back. Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. We're going to a very popular part of our program now. It's called Ask Robert. If you have any personal questions, go to richdadradio.com. Go to Ask Robert at richdadradio.com, and if your question is used, we will send you an autographed copy of one of my books. And so I want to thank Anthem Blanchard again for being part of our program. And Jerry has agreed to stay with us, and you should all have a guy like Jerry Williams. Jerry is a founder of American Precious Metals. So Melissa, what's the first question?
Thank you, Robert. Our first question today comes from Sean in Indiana. Favorite book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So his question is this: Robert and Kim, you often talk about owning gold and silver. Do you do anything to make these assets cash flow, or do you simply see them as an insurance policy in the case of continued government economic malpractice?
All of the above. The thing I'm saying here is this: I don't save money. I save gold and silver and things like oil wells, and I want things that are real. And the reason I love gold and silver is because they've been money for thousands and thousands of years. And the whole theme of this program is that your wealth is being ripped off by the very thing you work for and save, called the dollar or the yen or the euro. So for all of you guys out there who own dollars and yen, you're being ripped off. That's all I'm saying. So why save it when you can preserve it? Any comments here, Jerry?
My mantra has always been gold is for saving, not for speculating.
Yeah. That's my sentiment exactly.
And I think Sean is going back to, I appreciate Sean because he's going back to the Rich Dad definition of an asset. And an asset, according to Rich Dad, is something that puts money in your pocket whether you work or not. So gold is not an asset. It may be an investment. It is an investment. Whether it's a good investment or a bad investment, that's up to you. But there's a difference between an investment versus an asset. So we buy gold and silver for insurance against the dollar.
Money market funds aren't investments either. Basically, it's a place to park money.
My point here is,
we don't do money market funds.
It's not cash flow, but it's wealth flow. All you guys saving dollars out there, your wealth is flowing out of you as the Fed does a number of things. One is print money, one is loan your money out through the bank fractional reserve system, and three is the tax system. So it's not wealth, money flow, it's cash flow you're protecting right now. Wealth flow, I mean. And the reason I hold gold is because it's harder to steal my wealth.
So, Melissa, there was a second part to Sean's question.
That's right, Kim. His other question in the second part was, the government has outlawed the ability to own physical gold and silver in the past. Why do you assume that this will not happen again?
That's why I'm glad Jerry stayed behind. It's a great question. Jerry, what's the answer to that?
Because
you are
there's
a dealer.
An error in the question, which is silver being outlawed. It never was outlawed. Nixon put price controls on it for less than a year, and that didn't work. It was a miserable failure. But anyway, but gold has been outlawed here, and it's been outlawed in other countries in the past, both basically so that you were forced to use the currency that they issue. But that 1933 rule, when you look back to the Depression, in order to stimulate the economy, at that point, with a gold standard, you had to have more gold in the Treasury. You couldn't just create money at will. And the best way to do that was, of course, was to call it all in, which is not so much of a confiscation as was a nationalization. And then after collecting it all, well, you raised the price. So it was a 75% devaluation of the dollar, and it gave the Fed all this extra money to goose the economy out of the Depression, which didn't work.
So why today are so many people saying, oh, they might confiscate gold again, they might make it illegal again? Who's saying that? And
well, unfortunately, the main proponents of that are people in my industry. These are people who are coin dealers that would have you believe that you shouldn't buy low-premium bullion items because they will be coming to the same scrutiny that they did in 1933.
So
therefore, buy these rare coins, which could be marked up 300 or 400%. Which is very profitable for them, but not the best thing for the investor.
That's a really good point, because a lot of people don't know the difference between just bullion, which you're just talking gold bars or gold coins and silver coins, and
rare coins.
And rare coins, because,
I can guarantee you almost, which is a dangerous word to use, but if you fall into the purview of one of these television ads where you call up and you say, I'd like to buy some gold bars, the first thing they'll tell you is, no, you don't want that. You want this.
Because
they all do it, and it'll be some obscure thing that you'll find trouble selling later to get anywhere near what you paid for.
So should anybody own collectible coins?
Yes, people who are collectors, people who know the business.
Industry,
but somebody who doesn't know, it's their first time into the market, they shouldn't be doing that.
Let me just say that the regular bullion coins are things like Krugerrands, Canadian maple leaves, and
American gold eagles, our own country's coinage.
So those are regular bullion coins. But somebody says, I have a rare 1892 gold eagle, what would you say?
Well, if you want that, your grandfather's birthday, or
No, but
you never
would you
had
know
one.
the value of that, or is it just marked up at that moment?
Well, it would depend on the condition. That's
Right.
another thing. You've got a 70-point grading scale on these rare coins,
But
too.
that's
Is
what
it
they do.
encapsulated or not?
That's what they do, right? They call you up and say, you don't want bullion coins, you want the rare coin.
Yeah, because they'll never be confiscated. Now, how
Right.
can they guarantee that?
That's my point.
The government, to get onto, they have this all.
So you're actually saying there's some unethical...
They could take the jewelry off of your hands if it came desperate enough.
We don't recommend investments. We recommend you getting educated about investments. And what Jerry is saying is a lot of coin dealers who don't want you to buy bullion because the margins are too thin, right?
That's correct. He's
And
absolutely right.
they can make up their mortgage on a rare coin.
Pay for TV ads and things like that.
Yeah. Was that Pat Boone on
Great
television?
point.
Well, I don't. Does he do that? He was. He
yeah,
was
that's-
touting IRAs. I know that for a while.
I know,
But he's,
anyway, I
mostly,
don't-
he's mostly doing
Strike
bathtubs.
that. Strike that. Okay, we'll put that in.
Put Pat Boone down. Come
He's
on.
doing bathtubs that you walk
Don't
in.
beat up on Pat Boone.
Yeah, that's one of my competitors.
Hey, look, it costs money to advertise, you guys. They got to pay for that ad somehow. And what Jerry and I know, the margins on coins are razor thin. So that's why they want to sell you rare coins with the idea that they can't be confiscated. And that's the story you'll hear, right, Jerry?
Yes, and there's no
Next
guarantee
question.
of that.
Our next question comes from Jerry in Colorado. Favorite book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He says this, with all the technology being developed in the information age, you think some sort of digital currency, Bitcoin, will replace paper money, including gold and silver? Even the Bible says so.
Oh, you mean the Bible says
I
buy
missed that. I
Bitcoin?
missed that book.
Is that what you're saying, Jerry?
Is that New Testament or Old?
My God, I must have missed that chapter in Bible class.
Okay.
Look, I'll just say this much. Bitcoin is not a bad idea if you know what you're doing. It's like anything else. If you know how to get in and out. But gold and silver have been around for a number of thousands of years. They've been money ever since. A lot longer than Bitcoin in the Bible. What do you think, Jerry?
Well, I agree. I don't think there's anything in the Bible I've ever read, and I'm not an expert, that describes cryptocurrencies. That was that's relatively recent.
But you
But
you
gold
bought a
and
Bitcoin.
silver are.
You bought a Bitcoin, didn't you?
I did. Well, actually, strange
worked.
story is I got it from a fellow in 2009 for
Physical coin.
$3. A physical coin.
There was a Bitcoin?
Hmm. Yeah, you can get them, but the idea, of course, is to have it on an exchange because it'd be easier to handle. When I went to sell this physical coin, you had to pull the clear plastic cover off of it to find the coin, which then you had to put that number into your wallet on the out there on the internet, and then try to find a buyer where you could transfer from your wallet into theirs. And it's like a drug deal, it's you don't want to let the coin go until you got your money in your account, but the buyer doesn't want to let the money go until he's got the coin. So it's like, you're standing there
1, 2,
online
3, swap.
dealing with somebody you don't know and waiting for his money to hit your account so you can instantly hit the send button and send him your Bitcoin.
Look, just remember this, several thousand years ago, there was a little country called China. And they're the first guy that started printing money on paper. And it has not stopped. Paper money has come and paper money has gone. The U.S. dollar, the U.S. was in the same problem with called the Continental. They printed too many of it. And we had the Confederate dollar. They printed too much of it. And even during the Revolutionary War, the English started printing it just to screw up the financial system.
Yeah, Lincoln financed the Union with greenback dollars, which were fiat dollars, and they weren't redeemed for 10 years later.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been done before, but gold and silver have always remained true. Any comments, Kim? Final comments on this?
I think this is a great show for a lot of people around the gold and silver, and I think a lot of people don't really know where to start. So where would you start, Jerry?
Well, start with some education. There are a lot of good books out there. We have an archive of those things.
What's that book, Currency Wars by?
Currency Wars by James Turk. That's a very good one to start.
James Turk, Currency Wars.
And somebody like you have a precious metals store. You want to go to a precious metals dealer, correct?
Right.
Because people don't even know where to go. They go to a pawn shop or they go to some
we
bank
have
or
people
something.
all the time that are shopped around. They find us online,
Yeah.
and they look around.
So
and they
precious
go,
metals shop, they can come. They could get a 1 ounce silver coin. They can
and
get
we
a
ship all over the country too. So,
gold coin. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So this is American Precious Metals. Jerry Williams is a founder. His website is apmaz.com. apmaz.com. And remember, we don't recommend Jerry or investments. We just bring him on board for his wealth of knowledge and information. And you still have to make up your own idea. Jerry and I have been around this for years. When I met Kim, I was talking to her about gold and silver. and we're still talking about gold and silver. So if you have any other questions, thank you for your questions out there. Go to AskRobert@RichDadRadio.com, and we'll do our best to get you your question answered. And if your question is used, we'll send you an autographed copy of our book.
You've been listening to the Rich Dad Radio Show with Robert Kiyosaki. To learn more about the good news and bad news about money, go to richdadradio.com.